All right. So looking at the past 24 hours today of liquidations, we have 411 million over the past 24 hours, with longs being 218 million, shorts being 192. So you can see just how split right now it is between longs and shorts. It used to be longs were the ones getting liquidated mostly, and now you're seeing with the recent bounce that we had in the resiliency with Bitcoin that now shorts are starting to feel that pain as well. So we'll talk about the major levels on Bitcoin that I'm watching right now. But looking at the liquidation heat map, you can see here that we do have little liquidity near 68K, potentially some down near 67.6, and then way down here around 65K that's yet to be tagged. And you do have some overconfident shorts now around 69.6K. And so potentially we could have an impulse move higher to get these shorts out. And there actually is a little symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin is in right now that basically it's bouncing off that trend line support, which I'll talk about in a minute. But this is good to see. This is good to see. We're seeing the resiliency in Bitcoin. And again, if we have one little dip below 68K, that's fine. But I mean, so far it is looking fairly strong. And so we're going to have to watch out for that. And also the liquidity on the 1 week is we have some building to the upside now. You can see there's not that much on the 1 week to the downside. And so that does potentially give us room for higher. But as always, there's uncertainty with this war. And so we do have to be careful with that. Now, looking at the overall, the news items. So a couple news items. Let's go over, let's scroll down a little bit. So obviously we had oil that was rising, right? Oil went to $115 a barrel, which was insane to see. And this is something that most people did not see coming initially when it was around $75. They didn't think it would go this high. And it's basically surpassed everyone's expectations. Just almost similar to gold, right? Well, we're seeing a kind of similar relationship here where gold just kept going up and it was surprising. And then you had specifically oil right now doing the same thing. And so that's something that I'm going to have to watch out for as well. But I do think we will have a pullback in oil, probably around 120, 125. But at least for now, it is fairly strong until they get some type of, de-escalation going on or some type of agreement or ceasefire. Then oil will continue to be at this high price. Now, something that is positive, and I posted the other day, is Jim Cramer saying he does not see a path to de-escalation between the U.S., Israel, and Iran, which this is great to see because he's usually wrong about a lot of stuff. And, the whole joke, inverse Cramer, the fact that he doesn't see a path to de-escalation means potentially we could see something come up in the near future. Now, also, we have Michael Saylor continuing to buy Bitcoin. He bought over $1.28 billion worth. So he knows the strength of Bitcoin. He knows the resiliency of it, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. And he invests in this thing every week. And so great to see at least he hasn't stopped. We also have Tom Lee buying over $122 million worth of Ethereum. So he's continuing to buy more. And then also we had over $900 billion wiped out from the stock market at the US Open. And so that shows that it's interesting here seeing the dichotomy because you have the US stock market blowing over $900 billion worth, but then you have crypto outperforming, right? So we're seeing this divergence, and this has been happening for the past week or so. We're seeing this divergence from Bitcoin and the stock market finally. And this is something we've been talking about and we've been waiting for a while because usually the relationship was parallel. Stocks drop, Bitcoin dropped. Stocks rose, Bitcoin sometimes rose, but then sometimes dropped. Now stocks are dropping and Bitcoin is rising. And so this is the divergence you need to pay attention to. And I know most people are looking for lower, and I can see us going lower. But for the time being, seeing this divergence happen is definitely not something to ignore. And seeing the resiliency right now is definitely good to see. And we'll just have to pay attention over the next few weeks, especially if we see people in TradFi now probably starting to notice crypto a little bit more and starting to realize that, hey, maybe this is actually a safe haven asset or quote unquote digital gold, right? So very, very interesting here. Also, we have Anthropic suing the U.S. government after being labeled a national security risk. So this is something else where you had the government using Anthropic, one, for the capture of the Venezuelan President Maduro, and then the U.S. government wanted more rights basically for major surveillance and to carry out strikes autonomously with no human input. Anthropic didn't let them. They said, no, we're not going to allow those, no safeguards on it basically. So then the U.S. labeled them a national security risk, which usually the U.S. only does for their enemies, not for tech companies at home. And so, yeah, there's just a lot of drama going on right now with Anthropic and the U.S. government. And so hopefully they can deal with that sooner or later. Also, we have Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong saying soon there will be more AI agents than humans making transactions. They can't open a bank account, but they can own a crypto wallet. And just think about that, right? I know that previously Ozza was asking me any thoughts on OpenClaw and the trading bots. And guys, this is coming closer to reality sooner than we think. Because if you think about it, if you can make an AI agent in, let's just say, 10 minutes, right? Not even. And that AI agent can now trade crypto, like actual stable coins. Well, now what do you need humans for as far as transactions are concerned if the AI can do everything autonomously? Obviously, you need security guards in place, et cetera. But the fact that now you're going to have AI agents being able to call up people and set up meetings for you and actually pay over the phone or pay through a certain website that accepts crypto, or, I mean, there's so many different use cases that are going on with crypto right now and with AI that the world's going to be unrecognizable in just a year. I guarantee you, in just a year, we're going to see how quickly the world changes. And so the biggest thing I can tell you guys is to adapt, is to learn these AI systems, just use ChatGPT more, use Claude more, use OpenClaw if you can, obviously on a personal computer that has none of your personal data, right? And just get used to running AI agents. Use Grok. I mean, all these AI companies are now developing their own AI agents. And so it can be very, very useful, whether it's market research, whether it's developing trading bots. Like, guys, autonomy is the future. So the sooner you can adopt this technology, the sooner you can become self-sufficient and create generational wealth and not be so reliant on a physical job per se, because a lot of those physical jobs are being taken. Physical, I mean accountants, lawyers, etc. Right? Physical, like plumbers are still AI proof for now, but it's just something where you can see these people being laid off is for those who aren't adopting AI. Now, next we have JP Morgan saying the S&P could fall by 10%. So this is something we've been talking about as well, that the S&P is going to have a rollover eventually. And that's something where I want everyone to realize that, how important it is to see Bitcoin diverging from the S&P. Even if the S&P falls another 10%, the fact that Bitcoin is still rising while the S&P is falling is a testament to its strength right now. And then we also have the world's largest oil company, Saudi Aramco, cutting production at 2 oil fields. And so this is just another reason why we're seeing oil continue to rise. And this is going to have second and third order effects, right? People see oil rising and they don't realize what effect it's going to have on them personally. Like, I think the easiest effect to see is the rise in gas prices. Okay, everyone can see that, right? But what are the second and third order effects? Well, transportation costs increase. Okay, what's that going to mean? Well, cost of goods are going to increase. Okay, well, the grocery store probably start increasing their cost of their products, whatever it is, right? If it's making it more expensive to transport things, or maybe you're not able to transport things to certain locations because the Strait of Hormuz is closed down, or there's a lot of stuff going on there, then obviously the Middle East is going to be hit the hardest. But you still have other countries as well, and that's going to bleed over. And so there's a lot of stuff going on, guys, that just be careful and just make sure you're paying attention, and also make sure you have your savings as well, right? As far as funds and all that is concerned. But looking at a few other things, so let's refresh the page here, because there's also some big updates, macro wise, where we had the Russian president congratulate Machtaba on being selected Iran's new supreme leader. And so this guy right now, Trump is saying we'll see what happens after this guy got, you could say, nominated or appointed as the new supreme leader. You also have Lindsey Graham saying Saudi Arabia and GCC countries need to get involved in the fight with Iran. If not, consequences will follow. So he obviously wants the war to continue. And yeah, there's a lot going on. And you have also the foreign minister saying Iran has many surprises in store to respond to U.S. plots. So very, very interesting while, all this stuff going on, Russia getting involved. And so maybe it's not as easy as, the war stopping soon. Maybe there's going to be a lot more negotiations going on. President Putin saying the Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed. And so very interesting to see what's happening with this. So it's very, very interesting. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on this and see what happens. But yes, new supreme leader. I believe he was the son of the Ayatollah that was killed. So very interesting to see what happens with him afterwards. Now, I talked about the stock market and the S&P rolling over. So you can see it finally rolled over. We hit that 6,600 level perfectly. I know GE was calling for that as well. So awesome stuff there. And also, if you guys want to speak up or talk, definitely raise your hand and I'll get you up here. But we saw S&P roll over to 6,600, and then now 64 and 62 are the next targets. You can see the RSI starting to somewhat level out, but you can see it still has some room to go. So again, while Bitcoin is bouncing, while we're seeing the S&P fall, that is a very, very good sign. Now, gold slowly bleeding, 5,097, expecting some type of bounce at 5,000 like we got earlier. And then below that, 4,500 is going to be the next big level. But you can see the RSI is very overbought, crossing to the downside on the signal line, so potentially much, much lower for that. And then looking at oil here, so oil, it's very interesting. It actually topped near 120, so what I was talking about earlier. And so now it's at 91.89. Now, if we actually go to the 1 hour here, I mean, that's crazy what you can see, just that how quickly this dropped. And look, I mean, look what the RSI was at 90. If you go to the 4 hour, RSI was at 92. You go to the daily, RSI right now is at 88. And then you go to the weekly, the RSI is at 80. So you can see the last time it was this high, look where price was at. Price was at what? Basically where we are now, over 120 when the RSI was this high. So literally we're doing the same thing we did. And look at this, guys. This is simulation, right? So look at the date, February 28th. February 28th all the way to March 14th. And look where we are right now. We're at March 9th. Isn't it crazy to see that 4 years later, we're doing the exact same thing we did last time? I mean, you literally can't write this up any more perfect, right? So very, very interesting to see that same thing's happening 4 years later. And also, what do we have 4 years later is the Russia-Ukraine war, right? That was another thing people aren't realizing. I know Benjamin Cohen was talking about that too, but currently we're seeing 92. It's going to be a support level to watch out for. And so that's something to watch. And then you also have the RSI again, kind of topping out here. So maybe potentially we could see that continue. Then also we have the dollar index. The dollar is continuing to bounce here. So see if there's any inverse correlation. It is affecting the S&P, but not really affecting crypto. So good to see at least crypto breaking out from that correlation there. Or that's, I should say, that inverse correlation there. Now let's go and look at the market. So Bitcoin's up 2.4%, 68.7K. Ethereum's up 4.2%, 2016. Solana's up 4.1% to $85. 24-hour gainers. You have Hyperliquid, guys. We were talking about this as well. Hyperliquid up 13% to $34.30. BitTensor up 8.8%. Zcash 8.2%. Pi 6.7%. Great to see these tokens are outperforming. We were talking about Hyperliquid the other day, and think about it. When you have Hyperliquid allowing trading for oil, there's going to be so many people trading on it. They're going to make so many fees, and they're just going to buy back the token. Okay, and so that is amazing to see there. Amazing to see that Hyperliquid is continuing to outperform there, and that shows there is still a lot of opportunity in the space. Now, also Fear and Greed Index, we're finally back into fear. That's good to see. Sentiment is actually getting better despite everything going on. I mean, you would look at the macro news and you would think that we should be at 5 of extreme fear, right? And so it's crazy to see that we're finally getting out of that extreme fear territory. And now we could see sentiment improving, maybe because Bitcoin is diverging away from the S&P and maybe people are feeling better about that and the oil is finally dropping, right? So when you have oil going under $100 again, that gets people excited. And so it's not too surprising here to see fear back above that 20 level. Ozza says, look at Circle. It did plus 12%. Okay, let's go and look at Circle real quick. Let's go and pull it up where gold is. Wow. Yeah. Circle had a crazy pump. Crazy pump. See, guys, that shows you that there's still a lot of outperformers right now, even in the stock market space. So I appreciate that, Ozza. Thanks for sharing. All right, let's go to the ETF flows. So still waiting for today. Last week, we had negative 348 million of outflows. And then Thursday, 227 million of outflows. So currently, I assume that we're going to have some inflows today, just seeing the outperformance of Bitcoin and a lot of the crypto. So I assume we'll have some nice inflows, and that's something I'm watching very, very closely. And then looking at the market. So guys, this is where it pays to have your levels drawn. This is something I was posting in market updates. I was talking about it in chart analysis. And when you have the trend line resistance turn support, in addition to the horizontal support, in addition to RSI bouncing off its signal line, in addition to the stock RSI resetting below 80, you have a nice recipe for a bounce. Also, we had the 4-hour stochastic RSI oversold for a while, and then it started crossing back to the upside, and the RSI crossed above its signal line. And so you can see all of these things lining up. That's what I tell you is the lower time frames are your entry, the higher time frames are your bias, okay? So if it got to here in the RSI and you're like, I'm still bullish, let me look for my entry on the 4-hour, where 4 hours already going, right? It tells you where it wants to go. And so definitely pay attention to this stuff, guys. And now the question becomes, well, are we going to close the daily below 68.1K? I don't know if we are. We're looking pretty strong here. All right. I know that this is a big level though. And I do know a few people, GE is looking for a rejection here. So he's looking for a rejection and then much lower. So it's possible. It's possible, right? I mean, we rejected here and you can see when we got to this level at 69K, it went all the way back down to 66.3. So it's possible we could reject here. I mean, the daily looks good. The daily tells us we want higher. The 4-hour stock RSI is overbought. 4-hour could bring us down a little bit. Okay. But I mean, this looks strong, guys. I'm curious to your guys' thoughts. Are you bullish or bearish on Bitcoin right now? I'm very curious because from how it looks here, it looks pretty strong. Like it looks pretty strong. Lauren says, what are the differences between solid and dotted SR lines on your chart? Great question. So solid lines are more so major support and resistance. And then the dotted is kind of like a mid-range, if you will, like a weaker support and resistance. And so that's just how I know that, okay, this is a good target to take some profits if I'm long, basically, because we have some type of resistance here. So that's a difference there. Again, we rejected multiple times February 20th, 25th, and then we bounced off it March 4th. So should this probably be a solid line? It probably should, yeah. It probably should be a solid line. But I think right now I was just, in the beginning, I drew it as a dotted just because it wasn't respecting it as much. And then now is respected a lot. Probably should have this be a solid now. But, and then the ranges here, you can see the red range, that's my major resistance zone. And that's like a very significant one because it has correlation with the 50 EMA. And then below, you can see here, I have my major support zone. This is where I'm longing as much as possible if we get to this area because it's the golden Fibonacci ratio for the cycle low to the cycle high. We also have the trend line support. We also have horizontal support. There's so much confluence between 53 to 57K. So that's a method to the madness of my charts. Yeah, so solid lines, more so the range. So yeah, solid lines, exactly, just like the major support and resistance levels. And then these big range areas are the significant ranges, you could say. But yeah, currently right now, it's going to wait for Bitcoin. So if it can close above this 68 point, let's call it 68.5K. If we can close above 68.5K, I feel pretty confident we're going to 70.8K. And then after that, I'll be looking for around 73.6 again. Ozza says, by any chance, do you believe SOL will reach $18 and $20 this is cycle, maybe by October or after October based on previous cycle bottoms? So let me talk about SOL in a minute. I don't think it'll go that low though. I don't think it'll go that low. And so let's go ahead and look at Ethereum real quick, and then we'll cover Solana right after that. So Ethereum's been in this downward channel, broke out, and now it's getting back in it. So now we're at the major resistance, okay? Major resistance here. And so this is a big level to watch out for because we have trendline resistance, we have horizontal resistance. So if Ethereum can close, let's say if it can close at like 2050, okay, like around 2050. Well, then feel confident, obviously 2100 is going to be the next target, and then looking for 22. Now, the daily looks good, guys. The daily looks good with RSI and stock RSI crossing above. I mean, can't ask for much better than this, honestly. And so, yes, there is a pullback with the stock RSI on the 4-hour. We need to reset. So what's the play here? Well, maybe a retest of 2000, kind of chop around there and then higher. That'd be my guess. I mean, yes, this is strong resistance currently with this downward channel and this horizontal. So, but again, once we break above, I mean, I could see a retest at 2000 and just sending, right? Something like that. Okay, it's crossing above, retest, and then boom, go. So that's something I'm watching very, very closely. Now, if not, Then I look for 1940 as the next support. After that, 1830. But daily looks so good right now. RSI bouncing, stock RSI crossing above, like so good, guys. So now it's just needing the 4-hour to reset a little bit and then higher. Ozza, appreciate the compliment. Glad you're enjoying the technical analysis. Hope everyone here is as well. I do as much as I can. Try to get you guys the best info as possible. Try to filter through all the noise, give you the most signal I can. Now, let's look at Solana. So Solana is picture perfect right now. Picture perfect, meaning it's supporting its SR lines to a T. Okay, we bounced perfectly back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Crossed above, went to 93, and now back to 81. And now are we going to go back, forth until we break out? Right? So this is what you want to look for. You want to look for tokens that are respecting their SR lines, because that tells you everyone is looking at the same thing and it's going to be easier to trade. Versus a low cap, that would be like something like this, and it's going all over the place, right? You don't want to trade this kind of price action. You want to trade this kind of price action like Solana is doing. Very easy to trade. Resistance, support. You literally can't even focus on the macro news, honestly. Like you just got to trade the levels. And at the end of the day, if you trade the levels, guys, you'll be better than 99% of people. And that's not even an exaggeration, because the macro is chewing people up and spitting them out right now. Like so many people are getting chopped up by the macro news and affecting their emotions. Whereas here it's literally just like bouncing back and forth. So to answer your question, Ozza, about Sol reaching $18 or $20 this cycle, let me show you the levels I have. So lowest level I have, I believe I had $28 on Solana, which was right around here. Yeah. So this level here is very important. Now, could we go much lower? Could we go 14? Could we go to 9? It's possible. But I mean, here's the thing. I've seen some people say that Hyperliquid is going to outperform Solana. It's possible. It's possible, right? And so with the way Hyperliquid is going, I mean, it's very possible that Hyperliquid could outperform Solana. That could provide some headwinds, and then we could have some bleeding because of that FUD, right? So that's something I'm watching for. But as far as the levels I'm looking for, I think probably 48 would be the lowest I could see for Solana. I mean, of course, 28 is possible, but I would say around the $45 level. $45 would probably be my bottom for Solana. Around 45 here. And I mean, November 2023, that's where we got. Obviously, in the bottom of 2023, we got all the way down here, but I don't think we're going that low. I mean, I think the bottom near June 2022, Solana got to 28, so that's still a possibility. But yeah, I would say around 45 would be the lowest I would look for Solana. I'd be buying a lot there. But looking at the current levels, so right now I'm expecting us to at least reach $88, at least. I mean, Solana is very strong, so it seems pretty easy there for 88, and then afterwards 93. Below, looking for around 75 to 78 here. So if we do close below the $81 level, but Solana's looking too strong right now. Like, yes, we could have a pullback because stock RSI is overbought, pull back to maybe $81, $82 and then higher, but I'm still seeing 88 as the next target here. So looking good so far for Solana. It's been respecting these levels very, very accurately. Lauren says, if Sol approaches the $96 to $100 range again, do you plan to reassess or stick with the same plan? No, I plan to stick with the same plan. And here's the thing, right? So a lot of people, they'll let the macro view affect their emotions. And for example, I mean, look how long Solana was in this range, okay? During this time, when did the war actually start? I mean, I believe we had some wars starting around here, somewhere around here. And so when Solana finally broke out, if you had these levels drawn and you just shorted at 93, well, you'd be fine, right? And so what that says to me, and then you had 81 level that bounced perfectly. Okay, so what this says to me is, and especially looking at Bitcoin's resiliency, that it doesn't really matter what's going on macro wise. Like, yes, that has some effect, but I mean, honestly, you look at everything going on and Bitcoin's at 68K, 68.5K. You wouldn't think that we're on the verge of World War III. Oil spiked it to $120 and basically the Strait of Hormuz is closed down. Russia's getting involved. Iran's making threats to the US. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't think all that's going on right now, just looking at the price. Like, Solana's at $85. Like, you would think Solana should be at 75. So with that said, these levels are still very significant, whatever's happening. Like, if we get a ceasefire and Solana just sends, right? I'm still going to short between 96 to 100 because euphoria is still going to be at play. Like, emotion overrides all logic. I'll say that. Emotion overrides all logic. And so when you get euphoria up here and people are buying, no, I'm still going to short up here. I'm still going to short because it's going to give me the best risk reward, right? We also have the 50-day EMA. Now, the 50-day EMA at this time is probably going to be around 93. So maybe there's going to be resistance at 93 again, right? We'll reject from that. That could be a trade you could have. Whereas you could have a 4-hour close above 94.20, and that could be your invalidation. Or you could even extend this box and say, I'm going to short from 93 to 100. I mean, that's a wide range. I mean, you have to be 3x leverage for that, just because it's such a wide range. But, I mean, if you want to be on the safe side, absolutely, 96 to 100, short all day. All day. I'll take that trade every day. Could we wick above it? Yes, we could wick to 101, 102. But I still feel fairly strongly that this 96 to 100 level would be good. And then we'd probably have some support near 93 again afterwards. Hey, what's going on, Ahmed? Good to see you here. Ahmed says, yep, for Sol, I'm shorting at $98. Nice. Ozza says, my reason for wanting Sol at $20 is to DCA and get entry at those levels. Absolutely, right? I mean, we love for Sol at $20, Bitcoin at 30K, Ethereum at $1,000, right? It'd be awesome. But I think, you know, the big thing is just playing it level by level. And let me actually show you guys a chart real quick. So 1 second. Let me show you the Bitcoin chart. By the way, that was the whole analysis for Solana. So expecting $88, expecting a bounce. If we close below 81, then I would expect 75 to 77. So, but yeah, I mean, very bullish looking on the daily. All right, let me show you guys the Coinbase chart. And let me also link it in the chat. Okay, this is the, you say, my holy grail chart where I have everything going on and everything that we're expecting right now. Okay, let me go ahead and, okay. Let me go ahead and link this in the chat real quick. All right. All right. So, all right. So let's look at this, right? This is the weekly chart. This is about comparing cycles. In 2022, we had the Russia-Ukraine war starting around February, March. In 2026, we've had the US-Iran war starting in February and March. We had a nice little bounce in March. Okay. Now, let's talk about some potential targets since we're talking about Sol $20 or, you know, other tokens. So now let's see, okay, we get this bounce in March, cool. And then we end up having a bleed again. Now, if we look at a few things, okay, let's go ahead and hide the drawings. And let's hide some indicators. And I'm going to go over this one by one. So historically in the past, we've had Bitcoin bounce off the 200 weekly SMA for every bear market. It did it in 2018, 2019. It did it in 2020 and then 2022. Now, 2022, a lot of people are comparing this cycle we have right now to 2022. So if we're comparing that, again, history doesn't always repeat, but it often rhymes. Then that would mean that we get some type of pullback to the 200 weekly SMA, fall lower, and then end up grinding up higher. Now, it doesn't have to play out exactly. 60K could have been the bottom for us, okay? It's possible, right? But I'm looking at the bearish scenario here if we're playing this out. So if price goes basically down to the 200 weekly SMA and then goes even lower, the question becomes, well, what percentage did it go lower? Okay, because here we didn't quite reach the 200 weekly SMA yet. We almost did at 60K, but not quite. It's at 58.7. And so now the question becomes, okay, well, if we're expecting more bleeding, let's say in April and May and even June, how much is that going to be? Well, let's go ahead and enter the drawings. Okay, so Just stay with me here. So this line right here, if you can see this level here that says 29.88% right here, right? I took when it crossed below the 200 weekly SMA and all the way to the bottom of where it went. It was 30% down below the 200 weekly SMA. So if we go here and we take this line, we go to the 200 weekly SMA and we draw a line down about what, 30%, right? 29.88%. Where's that at? That falls around 40K. Okay, 40K. First level to watch out for. Now, let's go back. What about the all-time highs? Well, from the all-time highs, I just do a candle close for now. 66K all the way down to the bottom. How much is that? 75.9%. 75.9%, okay? Now, if we go to the 2026 cycle high, 125K all the way down, 75%. Where does that take us? Takes us to 30K. So now we have two targets, either 40K or 30K. Now, let's look at some more confluence, okay? So what about looking at other indicators, okay? So let me go ahead and remove the drawings again. Now, what about instead of the 200 weekly SMA, we look at the 200 weekly EMA? Because the 200 weekly EMA has also been respected. You can see in 2018, 2019, Bitcoin bounced. 2020, Bitcoin bounced. 2022, Bitcoin bounced before crossing below, treating it as resistance. And then look at this, crossing above and treating it as support. So it's actually even been more significant for the 200 weekly EMA than the SMA. So now let's look. Well, look at this. Bitcoin tapped off the 200 weekly EMA. Now it's crossing below. Now it's looking to cross back above. Is it going to cross above? Well, we still have, what do we have? 6 days until the weekly close. So we're still waiting on this, right? But what happened here? How far below did Bitcoin go down from its 200 weekly EMA before it marked the bottom? Well, now let's go ahead and open up the drawings. Okay. So now we look at this drawing from the 200 weekly EMA. That's 43.7% that it declined for the bottom. Let's go over here. If we take the 200 weekly EMA, draw it down 43%, what does that give us? Well, it gives us around 38K. Let's call it 40K, okay? Around 40K as well. Okay, so now we have one target for 30K, two targets for 40K. All right? Now, what else do we have? Well, we also have, and let me actually take some of these off because I don't want to confuse you guys. We also have the Fibonacci levels. Okay, so let's look from the cycle low of 2018, 2019 to the cycle high of 2021. Where did Bitcoin go? Bitcoin went to the 786, around 16.6K. Okay, it went just below it, but it went to the 786. So if we take the cycle low of 2022 and we put it to the cycle high of 2025, where's the 786? It's at 38.8K. So again, call it 40K. So now we have three confluence ranges for 40K and one for 30K. Now, let's go ahead and do one more thing. Okay. Look at Bitcoin when it got to the golden ratio, okay? So the golden ratio is between the 618 and the 65 on Fibonacci. For those who don't know, it's a very popular ratio. Price usually bounces from there, at least initially. So look where the golden ratio was at. It was between 25K to 27K, and Bitcoin actually went down there in May and bounced off there perfectly and then closed all the way at 31K. So literally Bitcoin went from 25K to 31K within the same week. It's like a 30% bounce before eventually going down, rejecting off the golden ratio, and then making lows. Okay, so now let's look at the golden ratio. Where's it at for this cycle? Well, golden ratio is between 53.4K to 57K. So that tells me if we have another drop, let's say in May, that takes us down to 53K, guys, that's going to be an amazing time to buy because you're within this golden ratio. What else is in confluence with this golden ratio between 53 to 57K? Well, look, we have horizontal support this orange line, okay? That's where we had the bounce in September of 2024 at 54.6K before reaching all-time highs. So that's a confluence level. And then we also have this trend line support. So this trend line I drew, this green line here, I drew from 2021, bounced multiple times, almost bounced in August 2024, rejected actually in December 2023 multiple times. So it's acted as resistance and support. And now it's around, let's call it, if we drop there, it'd be around 59.5K. So, but again, 54 to 59K. I mean, this is the ratio that you guys need to be watching here. And that would be another area where we could make a bottom, okay? Now in 2022, we didn't make a bottom. We just had that huge bounce, then we went lower. So now the targets become, okay, we got, let's say 55K, we got 40K, we got 30K. 3 areas of confluence for 40K, 3 areas of confluence for 55K. It's going to be one of those most likely. I don't know if we'll go down to 30K, but it's probably going to be one of these, okay? Because we still have a ways to go as far as this cycle is concerned. And I also have this red line for October 5th. Why October 5th? Well, October being 1 year post all-time high. Historically, that's how long the bear market lasts. Okay. So if you look at 2022 or 2021, November, it had the high. When did it bottom? November it bottomed. You see what I'm saying, guys? Like 1 year post high, historically when we bottom. So there's a lot of information, and I am recording this, by the way, so you guys can rewatch this to see everything. You can have it with a chart as well. So this is the analysis I'm looking at right now. And if you zoom out, this ascending wedge that we had, which is a bearish pattern, we tried to break above it, couldn't hold above it, rejected as resistance, closed below this trend line support, literally wicked to it as trend line resistance, and then we died from there. So again, there's always a method to the madness. It seems like there's a ton of lines, but if you look at it one by one, guys, a lot of confluence we got here. But let's see the comments. Ahmed says, I really do wish 60K was the bottom, is the bottom. My father's heavily invested in crypto. However, I don't want to be biased to one scenario. The data tells us everything, not hope. Exactly. The data is going to tell us everything you guys need to know. And I think at the end of the day, Ahmed, your father investing in Bitcoin, if he is holding it for long term, I'm talking over the next 2, 3, 4 years, he's going to be fine, right? Like Bitcoin's going to have another cycle, 2027, 2028, it's going to be fine. But of course, it's hard right now, right? I will say its resiliency is impressive though. I mean, all things considered, Bitcoin's resiliency right now in the middle of war is very impressive. And that's why I'm a little hesitant to say 30K is the bottom or 40K is the bottom, just because like how resilient it is. Like we may not even get to 53K, right? But I want to have these targets ready so you guys aren't scared whenever price gets to those levels, if price gets to those levels. Ari says, we also formed a bullish divergence in 2022 on a weekly time frame. Let's see if we get a similar bottoming pattern this time too. Absolutely, Ari. And that was actually something I had drawn here as well. Thank you for reminding me of that. You can see here, price, this green line, price made a lower low. While if you look at the RSI at the time made a higher low. Okay. So bottoms are formed with bullish divergences. That's something GE always talks about. And that's something we've been talking about as well, is look for the bullish divergence. And so with that said, Ari makes a great point. 60K was that low, but do we need price to then make a lower low, right? Say down to this golden pocket area before bouncing, because then you would have the lower low in price. RSI would probably be making the higher low, and then we just take off from there. Okay. So that's the perfect scenario in my opinion. Making a lower low to the golden pocket, bouncing off of that and calling that the high, or I should say the low, the cycle low. But my only hesitancy is where we're at right now. We're in March, and usually the market bottoms in October. I've seen some people say we're going to bottom in August, which that'd be nice, right? If we just chop around and then we just go. But at least we have some confluence, and these aren't just random levels. We have multiple areas of confluence. You've seen, even when I was talking about Bitcoin, and the trend line support with the horizontal support at 65.8K, and that bounced perfectly, right? That was on the daily. So look at these weekly confluences, guys. Like, these are things most people aren't looking at. And most likely, if we get a drop like this taking us to this level, it's probably going to be, it's going to be something crazy, okay? It's going to be something crazy, and everyone's going to be calling for lower. But those are the times when you need to buy and put emotions aside. So keep that in mind. So that's what I'm looking for. There's 3 targets for Bitcoin, either around 55K, 40K, or 30K. I have reasoning for each. I've recorded the reasoning for each, so you guys can rewatch it if you did not catch everything. But there's a lot of similarities, and really you just got to be prepared. And I mean, looking at the weekly stochastic RSI, like, it's looking very good right now. Like, it is oversold and now crossing to the upside. The weekly RSI was oversold and now crossing to the upside. So Bitcoin could very well have a nice little rally in March before potentially bleeding in April and May. Like, it's it looks very, very good. Even the daily, look at that, bouncing off the signal line, stochastic RSI is reset. Like, yeah, Bitcoin looks like it wants to go for a run. So I would not be surprised to see us near 75K in the next couple weeks. Now, I'll be analyzing the chart accordingly, and I'll make some calls on that as well. But that was another thing I just want to talk about, guys, before the stream. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I will answer them accordingly. It says, amazing analysis, G. In my opinion, I think we'll probably go to 55K, then bounce. No, not BTC, ETH, and other altcoins. I don't know how pronounce. Yeah, I appreciate that. And exactly, like, let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. Bitcoin's going to lead the show as always, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But like I said, its resiliency is very, very impressive here. And Ari said, yep, I didn't see that green line on your screen. Yeah, it's how'd you not see it, Ari? I only had 100 lines on my screen. How'd you not see the one green line there? Come on now. But no, it's this is a chart that I've actually been working on for a while now. I've just been adding little things and stuff that I've seen. And so and even if, like, and I know you guys know this as well, but if we pull up, for example, let me take off the drawings. If we pull up this 50-day, or I should say 50-week EMA, I mean, this thing was a big talking point, right? Whenever people were talking about it, and we're like, oh, we've bounced multiple times from this, and they were expecting us to bounce this time at 100K, which it lined up with horizontal support. But so when we didn't bounce and we fell through it, that was a sign of, like, oh, we cycle topped. Like, that was the sign there. And then we came up to the 50 weekly EMA and we rejected off it perfectly. We literally wicked to it, 97.6K, and rejected. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about higher time frame EMAs. They are respected, but people are so into, like, oh, I got to trade on the 1 hour, the 15 minute. They aren't seeing these big moves. And so if you guys zoom out, that's why the popular phrasing, when in doubt, zoom out, is so imperative with crypto, because it's easy to get caught up in the news and get caught up in the little micro moves and the volatility. But guys, if you just zoom out, then you can see, oh, wow, okay, yeah. We did cross below it in 2022 as well, and then we rejected off it as resistance. We tried to break above it, couldn't, and then started the bear market, right? So here it's like, okay, we tried to reject it, boom, we rejected down. And so it's similar, again, not exactly, but it is rhyming with the whole pattern that we had in 2022 where we rejected down. So that's why I'm giving you guys all of these other levels so you guys can actually see what targets to look for. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. Saxable says, what indicators do you use? So great question, Saxable. So on this chart, this colorful indicator is the Fibonacci. So you go to the left and you can click the 3 arrows or click here, but you can see Fibonacci retracement is the indicator here. And easily, basically you take from, let's say, cycle lows to cycle highs, and you can draw this, and then it gives you levels like you're seeing on the side here. And these levels, like in between, like the 618 to the 65 is going to be your golden pocket area. This is usually where price balances. So look at using Fibonacci. It's very, very important. Now, besides that, the basic indicators, the RSI and the stochastic RSI, I use these a lot because it's just easy as far as, you know, a lot of top institutions and traders use these. So it becomes basically a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, I also use my other indicators. So I have other indicators. One's called Candle Matrix that I have, that anyone who's on the quarterly plan will get access to it. And you can see, I mean, this thing calls tops and bottoms very nicely. You look at the 4 hour and you can see here, it literally, so when we had the downtrend, it was calling the little bounces, but then it called the major low at 60K afterwards, right? It's very accurate. And even if you zoom in here, you can see a little purple candle right here, February 23rd, purple candle that marked the bottom, boom. And when it got orange, dark orange or red, marks the top, okay? So that's why I like the candle matrix indicator. And I'm working on improving this indicator as well. There's gonna be a lot of new indicators I'm developing for Data's Alpha Circle 2.0 you guys are gonna get. But yeah, this is another one I like to just see, kind of get a gauge, right? Kind of a heat map. Okay, where are we at right now? Are we nearing overbought territory, nearing oversold territory? And that's going to tell me how much more of this move we have left. So on the 4 hour, it's yellow, and we can still have a couple more impulse moves higher. On the daily, where are we looking at on the daily? Well, the daily, okay, green. Okay, green. So we're not red yet. We're not like orange, right? We're not orange here. We're not getting heated to curve to the downside. We're still green. So daily still has some room to run, okay? But when you get orange, like up here, dark orange, usually it's the top. Orange right here, usually the top, okay? Orange right here, usually the top. Orange here, usually top. So you're seeing a pattern, and that's why I just like to use this as like a check of, okay, where are we at right now? So the candle matrix is another one, and then I also have the, let's see, I don't think I have it on here. I'm just looking for ones I use. Yeah, I don't have it on here yet, but also I have the synergy indicator that I don't have added right now. That's a good one for like rocket symbols when we're marking a bottom or top. That one's good. I can actually here, let me just pull it up real quick so you guys can see it. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and pull it up one sec. So there's a lot of signals, you could say, on this one. And this one actually marked the top nicely. Like these red alarms, it marks the top nicely on price. Red alarm, mark the top nicely. And so synergy is a good one if you're just looking at like the rockets and the red alarms. Those are good indicators to look at. But yeah, I would say synergy is good. Candle matrix, RSI, stock RSI are like your basics, default values. I have default values for the other indicators as well. And so again, you don't want analysis paralysis, but you want to be familiar with your indicators. And the fact that when I was looking at the RSI and stochastic RSI, and I was like, hey, RSI is going to bounce off at signal lines, stochastic RSI is reset below 80, because I've studied these indicators for my whole trading career. So I know when they look bullish or when they look bearish, right? I know what the nuances to look for. I know the patterns to look for. Whereas most people just wait for overbought or oversold. I know the intricacies inside, what to look for, draw the patterns. There's patterns in everything, okay? And so there's even, I mean, you could even argue that you could have like some downward channel that you draw, right? So as far as like, let's go like a parallel channel kind of thing in RSI, okay? Like something like this, right? Like it's in a downtrend and then finally it's breaking out, okay? And where did it break out? Oh, what do you know? It broke out at 60K. You see that? And now we're starting an uptrend. Okay, so just stuff like that, where you can literally draw descending wedges, ascending wedges. I mean, you can draw even trend lines. Like most people don't do this. Most people aren't drawing these trend lines on the RSI, right? And like we're bouncing. Oh, and we crossed below. And what happened when we crossed below? Oh, we fell off a cliff. You see what I'm saying, guys? Like most people don't do this. They just wait for overbought or oversold, which you can do that. But a lot of times it can be oversold like here, and we just keep falling off a cliff. And so you need to be able to use your indicators in confluence with your SR lines. And of course, take in fundamentals a little bit with macro, you know, the news you could say. But don't put, I would say 30% news, 70% technicals is the ratio I would use. Yes, Saxable, I did create the candle matrix. So yep, absolutely. Yeah, I created it a couple of years ago, and it took me a while. But it was awesome though. I combined so many different indicators in that thing, divergences and everything. And like, even with candle matrix, let's go ahead and bring it up one more time. Even with that, there's also some other settings you can have for it. So for example, show TP labels. Okay. So TP labels are like where you should take profit. Okay. So if you're in a short, take profit here, and then look at that, mark the bottom nicely. Okay. Here, look at these two TP levels. Take profit if you're in a short, boom, we had a bounce. Okay, take profit if you're in a long, boom, we had a dump. Take profit if you're in a short, we had a bounce. Take profit if you're in a short, boom, we had a bounce. Boom, short, right? So you can just look at it as like green meaning long, red meaning short. I mean, just look how perfectly these call the bottoms and tops. And so that's why, I mean, the candle matrix is such a useful indicator. You can even use divergences on it. Like there's so many things, and I can show you guys real quick. Like there's so many different things like bullish divergence, hidden bullish, bearish divergence, hidden bearish. I have these off because I find that the TP levels and the X's are the most accurate. But look how many indicators I have, guys. MACD histogram, RSI, stochastic RSI, CCI, momentum, OBV. I mean, like all of these different indicators. And you can see just why it's so good at marking tops and bottoms. And so, right now I'm trying to make an indicator that's better than this. As hard to believe as that is, I'm trying to make an indicator that's better than this right now. But also, let me actually take a poll real quick. Let me see if I can take a poll in here. Okay, 1 second. Let me take one poll. Give me 2 seconds. I'm posting a poll in the chat. Okay, I just want to see the... Okay, if you guys could answer that poll real quick. Let me just make it a 30-minute duration and submit. Okay, if you guys could answer that poll, would you like a channel that posts alerts when the candle matrix indicator receives an X or a TP signal? Would you like a specific Discord channel that literally just alerts whenever it makes these signals? Curious. And it's fine if you say no. I just want to get everyone's thoughts here, because that's something that I'm debating introducing for Data Alpha Circle 2.0. I mentioned AI is going to be a big focus. AI integration, AI automation. And so that's one of the things. That's the question, Ahmed. What time frame? So it's either going to be the 4-hour or the daily, because those are the most accurate time frames in my experience. As you can see here, the 4-hour, I mean the 4-hour literally called the top here, the red X and TP, boom, we dropped, right? But you can see here, it does call bottoms, but you can see that a lot of times, we could still go higher. And so it could be two channels where one is just the X's for the 4-hour, and then one is the daily TP levels and X's, because the TP levels on the daily are a little more accurate. You can see that, right? So, or it could be when TP and X flashes at once. That could be its own indicator. Like, so we're just experimenting right now. Let's see. Saxable, are you on the quarterly plan right now? If you are, then DM me your TradingView username and I'll get you access. But I provide access through TradingView. So just make sure you have a TradingView account. Yeah, Lawrence, it could cover multiple time frames. It could cover multiple time frames. And so that would be, again, I could have multiple channels, so like a 4-hour and a daily. Let's see, Ahmed says 4-hour and daily would be good. Like you can say on each post on which time frame it's at. Ah, that's a good point too. That's a good point too. I can make a post on which one. Yeah. So let's see. Lawrence says, I remember you mentioning it was very accurate for ETH on the 15-minute, for example. Yeah. So let's actually look at that real quick. Let's get Ethereum and let's look at the 15-minute, because it was fairly accurate for a period. Let me go right here. Let's go on the 15-minute. Okay. So for Ethereum, for example, so it's marking these bottoms. This is the 15-minute, by the way. It's marking these bottoms with X's. Let me take off the TP levels real quick so we don't get distracted by that. And let me take off the EMA. Okay, and actually any drawings that we have. Okay, so yeah, so the X's for Ethereum, I mean, it marked small top here and marked a nice bottom here, marked the top here, March 2nd, marked the top here, February 28th, small top, marked the bottom here, February 28th. And then this was kind of like a midterm bottom before it fell down again. And then this one, so, okay, so I'm gonna talk about this one in a minute, but you can see here, mark the bottom, mark the top, mark the bottom. This is when it was very accurate. Mark the top, mark the bottom, you can see that. And then when we had the rally, this is where it provided like 3 false top signals. And then even like a 4th one, semi-top. So these are the only thing where I would say, okay, sometimes it does print the false signals right here. but it is still a good indication of, hey, maybe I should take some profits, right? So it's a good profit taking signal on the 15-minute X's and potentially a big reversal as well. So that would be, yeah, that would be something. Now, Ahmed says, better idea would be if you can upgrade this same indicator on giving us notifications on TV. So Ahmed, I can actually, so if you go to this indicator, you should be able to make alerts. So if you click the 3 dots next to candle matrix and you click add alert, let me see, buy alert TD, sell alert TD, yep. Strong buy X, strong sell X. Yeah, so I have alerts on here, so you can actually set alerts on TradingView if you guys haven't. And this is definitely something to do. And then from there, you can actually go to message and then set up your like email or phone number on that. Yeah. So definitely look at doing that. Let's see. But yeah, so what do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of the 15-minute, 4-hour, and the daily? Do you think that would be too much noise? Do you think there should be separate channels? Do you think we should just have 1 time frame, 2 time frames? I'm curious what you guys think. Just looking at everything right now. Curious what you guys think. Ahmed says 4-hour and daily would be good. All right. Let me see what everyone else thinks. Because this is definitely going to help us for 2.0. Like on the same channel, but you specify for each post. Okay. I could see that. The 1 hour is not bad either on Ethereum. I mean, 1 hour marked the bottom February 5th, 15th, top February 25th. Yeah, 1 hour is not too bad. Ari says, yeah, longer time frames are nice. Otherwise, might become too noisy. Yeah, that's a thing. Is I don't want too many time frames, so it's just going off every second. But at the same time, I want to make sure you guys are getting some accurate signal. So that's what I'll do. So yeah, I'll analyze the 4-hour on Ethereum. Oh, and that's another thing too. Do you want it just for Bitcoin or do you want it for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana? Curious which ones. BTC, ETH, and Sol. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at Solana as well. Solana, not too bad. Mark the bottom here. Mark the bottom a couple times. Top once. Let's look at... All right, BTC, ETH, and Sol, huh? Okay. Yeah, because if we do Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, then we're definitely going to need to only have the 4-hour and the daily. So we have the 15-minute while we're tracking 3 different indices. It's going to be like a signal every probably 12 hours. Well, it doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's just flashing, that could mean, could get a little noisy. And maybe even sooner than that. Yeah, any coin that's very accurate with them. Yeah. Let's see Hyperliquid as well. So Hyperliquid, on the 4-hour, it called the top on that. Not bad. Called the top on that. Okay, so Hyperliquid, it's not too bad either. Let me see the daily. The daily doesn't give any indications besides just the candle colors. So gonna have to keep an eye on Hype and see maybe if there's a different chart. Let's see. Lehel says, IG, I have a quarterly plan. Can I have the custom indicators? My username is Lehels on TradingView. Yeah, definitely. Hey, and if you could, Lehel, DM me as well, just so it doesn't get lost in the chat. Della says, is this re-uploaded later? I have to go collect some checks. Yes, Della, this is re-uploaded later. So I'm actually recording this right now. So this is, I will post this in the recordings chat, in the recordings channel, so you guys can see it after. Yep. So, but yeah, a lot of good feedback, guys. A lot of good feedback. So you guys are hearing it first with the whole providing signals, having a signals channel for at least specific indicators, right? Ones that are very accurate. And then at that point, you can see the signal, look at your own analysis and say, hey, I think this is a good area for a long, or I think I'm going to wait a little bit longer. So yeah, I think that as long as it's on the best time frames and the most accurate time frames for Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana, I think these signals could be very, very lucrative. So that's something we'll need to watch out for. But with that said, guys, Do you have any other questions? It's been an hour. It's been a great stream. I've enjoyed this. Went over a lot today. Went over a lot of macro news and then also a lot of analysis with BTC, ETH, and Solana. So I'm glad that we were able to cover everything. Ahmed says, will the signals be for long and shorts or only longs? No, it'll be for long and shorts. It'll be for both. Yeah. So that's why I'm very picky on the lower time frames as well as the higher time frames, or creating separate channels for each. But yeah, I think that if I refine it just a little bit more, maybe filter a little things, then I could even get it even more accurate. So we'll see what we can do with that as well. Ari says, great stream indeed. Crypto Slug, I really like the daily reports you do. Very accurate and sets the tone for the day. Hey, appreciate that, Crypto Slug. And yeah, glad you guys were liking the daily alpha briefs. That's something I started doing. Nico actually recommended that I should do that. And so I was debating it, and I said, you know what? Daily alpha briefs, it's a quick thing. I post the market updates. I also post a daily alpha brief. So whichever guys you want to watch, video or text, you have both of them there. It makes it easier to get your day started. And you can rewatch them if you want. And it's quick, right? 5 to 7 minutes. Everyone's got 5 to 7 minutes to watch a quick video. And I go over analysis and everything. So glad you guys enjoyed that. I will keep them coming, and I'll post one a little bit later today. Absolutely. Let's see. Della says, just arrived. Did you announce incoming signals due to good market setup and opportunities? So Della, basically what I was saying is, yeah, for the 2.0 group is going to be a channel for automated signals. Yeah. Automated signals based off the candle matrix indicator, and also automated signals based off a new trading bot that I am creating. Spoiler alert. So yeah, there's going to be a lot more signals in the group, accurate signals too. So stay tuned for that, guys. It's going to be awesome. Ahmed says, plus great Miro vid that you made for the 19-minute one. Awesome. Yeah, the video I made for the why 95% of traders lose money. That video I was editing for a while and working on that for a while, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. The Miro board is awesome. Like, you can do so much with the Miro board. Literally just have everything on one page and zoom in, zoom out, drag across the page. And so, yeah, I'm glad you guys love that. And that's a video. It's going to be the main one for Data's Alpha Circle, and the main one as well for my YouTube channel. So everyone can see exactly the value in the group and, of course, get some knowledge about how to become a better trader. Yes, Ahmed, the 2.0 group is the one we're in right now. It's just a rebranding. Think of it like, hey, we've had Data's Alpha Circle for 6 months. Now we're evolving it, making it even better, incorporating AI. It's going to be a big narrative of the group, AI automation, whether that's signals, whether that's, other integrations with bots, whether that's, there's a lot of things that we're discussing right now to make it even more valuable than the current group. So, but yeah, y'all are good. Y'all are inside it. It's just going to be layers on top that we're going to add. So get ready for that. It says, I used a Lucid chart, just dropped a vid on my YouTube channel explaining on Lucid chart. Awesome. Awesome. Good stuff. I appreciate that. Yeah, you've been doing good, Ahmed. You've been doing good with sharing the videos and again, sharing the content. And that's what we're all about, right? We're all about getting you guys to, become involved in the group, whether it's talking in chat, coming up to speak, sharing your charts, sharing your analysis, asking questions in the guidance channel. Like, at the end of the day, when you guys become more active, you learn more, right? It's to benefit you guys, not just us. Like, it's to benefit you, because we're just teaching, but you guys are actually implementing it every single day. And so if you can have your own analysis, become confident in your own analysis, then that's literally, the mantra, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man a fish, feed him for life. And so I want you guys to be fed for life. Never have to worry about, oh, am I a good trader or not? Like, literally put in the reps and you can see these patterns play out in real time. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, cool. Well, hey, appreciate everyone watching. Thank you so much. And like I said, the stream is being recorded, so you guys will see it in the recording channel within the next hour. And yeah, appreciate every one of you. Appreciate everyone who always joins these streams, stays active in the chats. The group's only going to get better, guys. We're going to get more active with it, and there's going to be a lot of good things coming in the pipeline. So thank you so much for the support. It means a lot. Have a great week, and talk soon.